yearly field trip that we pay for and sponsor, and career presentations, which of course lately have been video throughout the year. If on the figure on the upper left shows an example experiment with a little bucket of mud that generates electricity connected into our custom boards that each student has to work with. The figure on the bottom left shows one of our more complicated experiments that's a demo to the students of how heat diffuses through sand, and the heat is provided by a light that turns on and off, which you can sort of see underneath the top of the bucket there. Okay, switching to the next slide. The curriculum as we are delivering it this year consists of units that introduce the student to the computer. The first unit introduces the students to programming using a language called TurtleLogo. We use the logo language throughout the course. The second unit introduces the breadboard and the use of the computer language with the breadboard to turn on and off lights and do experiments using light. And the third unit introduces the temperature and the light sensors. And then we have experimental units that usually occur during the spring semester. Each of these units is 5 lessons long and goes through the entire NGSS cycle based on the storyline approach that is the current recommended approach in NGSS. And so we have experiments using water and soil. Another experimental unit, it focuses on light and energy and includes a solar cell. And then we have our microbial fuel cell experiment, which is that little jar of mud that I showed you in the last slide. If you turn to the next slide, this is just a picture of the basic setup. We're delivering Chromebook computers and the breadboard and the Arduino processor microcontroller on the board and a cable to connect everything. And then the students build their experiments on the remaining space on that white board that's called the breadboard. If you switch to the next slide, you'll see the way we're delivering all the materials to the students. This summer, when we realized that we would not be able to have students share computers or equipment anymore, we kitted up everything for each student in a nice box with little boxes inside. So each student gets all of their own individual hardware and their own computer and boxes of parts and boxes with the boards in them. And that's been working out really well in the classroom so far this year. Of course, we hope to someday go back to in-person learning with, where students can work together, but until then, we're committed to delivering these kits, and we've changed our software that powers the whole course so that it will work from whatever internet service provider students have. So if you switch to the next slide, part of what we do is, a major part of what we do is the teacher support and the professional development and learning that we do with the teachers. And so each year we have 5 8-hour trainings on Saturdays, either 4 hours on Zoom or another online platform and 4 hours of work on their own, or if we can go back to meeting in person, we will. We've been teaching the teachers how to teach the curriculum. We've been doing NGSS exercises. We've been getting feedback from the teachers and supporting their teaching remotely. And of course, we provide tech support. And each summer we have a week-long summer institute that, with any luck, we can go back to having in person next summer. And that would be at Sonoma State. All travel costs are paid for all participants. And during the next summer's training, we will be getting people ready for our impact study. If you switch to the next slide, that's labeled additional teacher support. We have a tech support team at Sonoma State that is always standing by to help teachers, even if they're in the process of teaching the class at that time. We have maintained a Google Doc folder for the teachers with all the curriculum and all the training materials. And a really important part of the program is the fact that we have developed a wonderful professional learning community between the teachers and they are helping each other and giving each other teaching tips and also troubleshooting tips. The next slide shows our support for the field trip. The field trip is an important part of a CTE program to show students career opportunities that they might not have envisioned, because for ninth graders, career exploration is basically what you do for CTE. And so last year, we took a field trip to the Berry Public Brewery in Cloverdale, and because they have a big version of the microbial fuel cell that cleans their wastewater and generates energy for their brewery. But we were also amazed to learn that they have tens of thousands of sensors involved in their factory production of beer, and the students are really interested in seeing how that all worked. This past spring, we were going to go to nature preserves and show people how scientists make measurements in nature and study the flow of water, but unfortunately that field trip was canceled due to COVID, and we'll try again next year. And then the last slide I'm going to talk to is about our impact study that we are doing for the calendar year that starts, the academic year that starts in 2021. So not this year, but next year. This is a study that will include 500 students in multiple schools, 250 of them each in the study group and in the control group. And WestEd, who is our evaluation and research study partner, will be conducting this study so that we can eventually be approved for the gold standard of the What Works Clearinghouse that's run by the Department that shows what works in high school for STEM. And if you look in that What Works Clearinghouse right now, you will discover that there is really nothing in there at all, not a single study that shows something that works for high school in STEM. So we have encouraging results from our study from our first 5 years. That was quasi-experimental design study. This is a randomized control study. And so we hope that at the conclusion of this study, we will have met the gold standard and will be one of the first high school STEM curriculums that actually has real evidence that it works. Now I'm going to turn it over to Susan, who will talk about the partnerships on the MOU.
Hi there, I'm Susan Wandling, and first of all, let me thank the members of the school board for giving us a chance to explain the program and discuss entering a partnership with the school district. We're really excited for this opportunity. I'm a co-PI on the grant, and I'm the Senior Director of Pre-Collegiate Programs at Sonoma State. So my role, because my experience comes from largely working with schools and school districts, getting TRIO programs delivered in 4 counties up here in Northern California. That's the perspective I bring to this project. I'm probably the only non-scientist, non-computer scientist, non-engineer on the project, but I do my focus on making sure we have strong partnerships, because that's what makes this successful. And the idea is that, this is also part of the expectation in the grant that this is not just Sonoma State delivering something. It is a well-formed partnership. So that consists of the Sonoma State teams, including the EDDI on STEM Learning Group and the pre-collegiate program. WestEd research team, they're our external evaluator. They worked with us and did the impact study for the first grant, and they are working on this one as well. And LEAs, including schools, district leadership, and teachers. And then we also try to strengthen the partnerships with other organizations, such as Center for Environmental Inquiry at Sonoma State, CTE foundations, local businesses. So we try to grow community organizations into the partnership as well. On the next page, I'm going to talk about the MOUs. So it sounds to me like Sonoma State has not yet delivered to you a signed copy of it, but they're on. Last I heard it was what they were working on. But I had sent final drafts to Tracy and to the district. So you might have that in front of you. But basically, I'll sum this up. This is what the schools agree to. The high schools who deliver this agree to or sign on onto the MOU, encourage teachers to participate in the professional development, and then they also are agreeing to offer this course in 21-22, so starting next fall. And they will enroll up to half of their ninth grade students in the STEM course and also work with WestEd to randomize student assignments. And as far as I understand, they're already having those conversations with WestEd for Palo Verde to look at how they're going to do that next year. From the school district, we ask them to share data with WestEd so that they can conduct the impact study, and then they provide $5,000 per year as a cash match. And the cash match is a basic requirement for just the grant in general. It helps the districts to demonstrate buy-in, but it's more than returned in the form of materials, like Lynn was talking about, the kits, per student kits valued at $450 or more each, plus the professional development for the teachers. It is paid professional development. So it is, more than offset by that $5K. On the next page, this is what Sonoma State provides. Of course, the curriculum that Lynn discussed, NGSS aligned, teacher training, including providing compensation to each teacher at $300 a day, and the computer hardware sets and all the materials. And then the external evaluator, our other partner, conducts the impact study. They do data collection and will do classroom observations. They provide the compensation for the control teachers. So as part of that impact study, there will be a teacher or two. I don't know the details of how that's, they're still working that out, but there will be a control teacher who will receive some compensation, but they will not be participating in the paid training, obviously. And then WestEd also assesses and supports the curriculum and teacher development throughout the entire grant. So we're always getting formative feedback from them during the development of the curriculum. And so next page, this is what the timeline looks like for our partnerships the partnerships that we're developing through this phase of the program. The teacher starts this semester to start, ideally, we want the teacher to start participating in the virtual Saturday PDs after the school district signs the MOU. And then in the winter, we ask the master schedulers to get the course listed for next fall. We're aiming to do a student field trip in the spring, and then in the summer, the goal is that we will have an in-person, crossing our fingers, one-week session here at Sonoma State for all the teachers who will be teaching in the fall. And then 2020, next year, teacher integrates teaches the integrated course, and also the research is conducted into the impacts on STEM compared with another ninth grade course taught by a non-LBIM teacher. And what this partnership does not spell out is that in 22-23, and I'm not sure, this might be explained in the MOU, but the school may, because we are funded through 2023, the school may still deliver. I mean, we will still support the school and have that partnership in place for the school to deliver that curriculum to all the to all the students, ninth grade students, if that's the plan, if that's what's agreed on. And the next page is just for more information. So there is a video. I don't know if there's time for you to view it, but if we don't have time, I strongly recommend you check that out. It is Lynn, it was entered. Can you explain? It was entered into a showcase, a STEM showcase, and it features some Ukiah High School students.
Right. We made the video for the NSF STEM for All video showcase for last year. They, for the first time, had invited projects that were funded by other federal agencies to participate. So we made a new video that explains the program and shows students doing things from Ukiah High School. So it's just a fun video if you want to check it out.
Right.
So thank you for listening to our presentation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
I just had one.
No?
This is Sonny Hernandez, the board member. How many students can you take from one district at ninth graders?
Okay, it sounded like how many students can we take from one district?
Correct.
So for the impact study next year, half of them. Half of your ninth graders can be in the intervention group, and the other half can be in the control group.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan and Lynn, for taking the time and for giving us this opportunity. We appreciate it.
Oh, pleasure.
Thanks, and we look forward to getting to meet your teachers.
Okay.
So should we hang up now?
Yeah. Okay, good night.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So next we have our presentation, an update on district facilities. We have Mr. Steve Stiers here.
Good evening. For the topics of FMOT tonight and what we have going on in the facilities department, facilities has delivered over 105 units of plexiglass throughout the district through different offices and sites. Facilities and maintenance is completed between August and September. 633 work orders and repairs throughout the district. We have been working with Head Start over different chemicals and supplies that they required for use that the district doesn't use to bring us up to code with them for their supplies and cleaning in their facilities. It's more of a peroxide solution. I know in the district side we're using a rejuvenal solution. For Head Start, it's more of a faster kill rate of 45 seconds for the coronavirus. And that's one of the products we brought in for them. Also, at Head Start, we have a security project going on. We're about 80% completed with. We're in the wrap-ups of that. Basically finish work, painting, and outside exterior gating and safety gates that are going in. Disinfecting throughout all the sites. The district has, or FMOT has created a spray cart that we use to spray rejuvenal for disinfecting and sanitizing all the classrooms, carpets, door handles, entryways, walkways, and what else are we using it for? And that would be the most we're using that part for. As far as a middle school project we have coming up on the 12th and 13th, the abatement will start there for the asbestos. And that should be finalized by the 14th. We should be done and ready to start the FMOT side of the remodel on that facility. In our transportation department, in support of nutritional services, in the month of September, between August 10th and September 14th, we delivered 19,440 meals. In those meals, it includes breakfast, lunch, and snacks. For the month of September, from September to October 15th, we delivered approximately 20,880 meals, which contain breakfast, lunch, and snacks. In our purchasing department, in support of the district, we have processed over 115 POs to support the district in supplies, and we've made over 287 warehouse deliveries throughout the sites in the district. An update on our barn project for the FFA project. We are still sitting at just about 90% on the project. We're still waiting on a few items to come back in. We have a few lighting issues, a few water line issues that we're waiting on contractors to come back and repair and fix. And painting on the gates and some touch-up painting throughout the building. special services that we've supported with Mr. Singh's department. We've set up 7 classrooms for special services and 1 classroom at the middle school for ELS training for the students. And that's our report. Do you have any questions?
Are there any questions?
When do you think the barn is going to be completed in order to take animals?
I'd honestly like to say within the next 90 days or less.
90 days?
Yeah. That's my hope of being able to get contractors back in here to finish it.
Is there a timeline for them to come back? And then you can get another one if they don't come back in a certain time?
I don't have an answer for that right now, Sonny. I'd have to get back with you on that.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Doing a good job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time, Steve. All right, our hearing session. We have no public comments this evening. Patients, board member report. Dr. Goose?
Nothing to report, other than I'll be coming home tomorrow.
Mendez? Mr. Burton? And I have nothing to report. Now for our superintendent's report. Ms. Kern?
A report that information that the Riverside County Office of Education Superintendent of Schools, Dr. White, is retiring effective November 1st. Tomorrow, October 7th, is the next county school board meeting. Dr. White, in that will be discussion of her resignation and a possible appointment of a successor to take the place of her term. Dr. White has been very supportive of our school district, and we really appreciate all of her advocacy and collaboration to serve our students. Also want to share with you that the blueprint for a safer economy dashboard was updated at 11:45 a.m. today, showing Riverside County in the red tier of substantial for 2 consecutive weeks, allowing schools to be eligible to begin the process of in-person hybrid instruction following strict health and safety measures. PVUSD has been working very hard on planning for the when and how of hybrid in-person options. So at our next board meeting, October 20th, we will present a staggered, phased, hybrid in-person learning plan with timelines for the board to consider. Want to give recognition to our custodians. Friday, October 2nd was National Custodian Day, and they worked very hard and want to appreciate them. Yesterday was World Teachers Day, and next week is School Administration Week, October 11th through the 17th. We appreciate the hard work of all of our staff. And that's all I have to report.
Right, thank you, Ms. Kern. Now we have our physical update report. Mr. Sanchez?
Good evening, board, superintendent, community. Tonight in the fiscal update, I'm going to touch on 3 items. One, just to update you on the COVID funds. You remember we have 4 resources where the funds are spread out. The biggest one for us to watch is Resource 3220. The budget in that one was about $2.5 million, which has to be spent by December 30, excuse me. And as of today, we are 1.47 million toward that goal. So we have about $1 million left. And given the things that are coming in the pipeline, if the LTE project materializes, that will eat up a considerable piece of that budget. I feel like we're relatively on track with getting it spent by December if we don't have an extension. So I just wanted to update you guys on that. Something that is important to the district, and if anyone who is listening could kind of echo or repeat the message for us. We need support, particularly at the high school, with getting our lunch forms returned. One of the things that's come out of the COVID response is that the district will be held harmless for our attendance and enrollment. Attendance, really, our funding is based on attendance, and so we expect that this year will be a lower attendance year, but the state is giving us a hold harmless year. What they are not holding us harmless on is what's called our unduplicated count. And the unduplicated count, in particular, where I'm speaking to it, consists of the socioeconomically disadvantaged students, which Blythe has a fair amount of. But the issue is that if we underreport our true number, then there's funds that we're eligible for, but we will not receive. And this goes, easily into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in this environment, we need every dollar we can get. So the district in the next month, 4 to 6, it's probably going to start immediately, but continuing on for probably the next 6 weeks, maybe as many as 8 weeks, are going to implement a big push to get our lunch forms, particularly at the high school, returned to us. There's no incentive program or nothing we can do to make the community respond, but we're hoping that given the impact that activity would bring to the district, that we're going to get some support there. So I just want to communicate that's something that's really important. And related to that, our lunch. So Steve, as Steve just mentioned, our teams, our lunch teams, our transportation teams, everybody's doing a great job pushing thousands upon thousands of meals out to the community. But in reality, we're down about $100,000 over the previous year. Our August claims were about $100,000 less than this year's August claims. So, this whole picture with the lunch forms, the lunch program participation, it could potentially be a big deal to the district. So, again, just kind of wanting to echo and repeat the point that we're going to need some support there from the community. Lastly, the board tonight will see a resolution for the TRAN. I've spoken about this at previous board meetings. The TRAN, just for once more, is essentially a temporary loan. What ultimately would happen is, based on the numbers that we're looking at right now, the district will borrow about $1.9 million around February, and we will pay it back around October. And the reason for the TRAN is it's not that the district is running out of money. It's that beginning in February, the state is going to start deferring our state aid payments. And because we're not getting payments, we're going to run on our savings. And it's going to get pretty tight by the time we reach June. And so the TRAN is just a safety net to ensure that we don't run out of cash. And then the expectation is that the state will resume making the payments to us in July. So they're going to start paying us back what we owe, so that by October, we should be pretty good, in good shape again and be able to pay the TRANs. But I just wanted to bring a little bit of information regarding that item. And that's all I have in the fiscal update. I'll be back again to talk about the bond and the budget letter. Any questions? Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, our reports of associations. We have no one from PVTA, but we have somebody from CSEA tonight.
Just a minute, Jamie. Let me clean the microphone.
Okay.
All right, good to go, lady.
Milton, you did wear a mask, but not over your nose. Okay. Hey, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad Ms. Moyen and Ms. Kern decided that we can attend the meetings personally. It just feels a little bit different than trying to write a report, because sometimes the written word kind of sounds a little snarky or something to that effect, and that's not what we really want to say. Not to say that we don't get snarky, but I just want to say that, there is a lot of positivity going on. So I'm glad we were able to at least come now in this kind of environment for right now. I do want to say, though, so you're going to get the good and the bad and the ugly, and this is what I would tell Dr. Bush. It's good and the bad and the ugly. That's what we need to see. I know we're a lot about positivity and everything that's good, but we also have to see what was bad so we know how the solutions came about and what good came out of it. So so that's kind of where I'm going with this. We did get a little bit of we did get a little oh my gosh, now I forgot, notification on the testing for the employees and all of that kind of stuff. But as union leaders, you know that we have to make sure that it follows our contract. We have to make sure that it's something that has to be done. So what we would like to see, and I'm sure all the other union leaders too, is that we get a little bit more information on that. And I know it's probably like, well, we just got it that day and then we decided to send it out. But if you knew you were working on it, we kind of need to know ahead of time. So the questions we have, which I know April got some already, is something that we could have already foreseen and kind of worked out and know. So when the email does go out to the staff, we're better prepared to help them understand what's expected of them. Because let me tell you, when anything comes out of the district and they're not understanding it, we're not understanding what it means, I get all these calls. And I get them at home, I get them at work. I mean, I really just want to hang up on these people. But I want them to understand, because this is their livelihood and they get scared. It's just this environment, everything is you know, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? So I just would like to work on that type of relationship so that we understand and we know. And we have went back to a meeting with Milton and April and Ms. Kern. And so we can give that information, and we do this, you know, back and forth. But then something like this pops up and we're like, oh my God, what happened? So we just want to make sure we're all working together as a team. And I'm one of these people, I mean, and Robert is too, or I'm making him, is that I like to know ahead of time. I like to be prepared. And I know the opening of the school, I really want the kids to come. I mean, one year I was put in exile as a custodian at the high school. And not because they were high school students, it's because I can't interact with them like I would at the elementary site. And so that was a year of misery for me, just because I couldn't do that. So when I got back to the elementary side, I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm back. I don't care if I got to, you know, clean up a mess in the cafeteria or whatever. I get to interact with the students. And coming back with no student interaction right now, I mean, I'm pulling anybody who comes into my library or calls. Okay, I'm like talking for 10 minutes because I need to, you know, and if a student has to come in for issues on the Chromebook, you know, I can get a little dialogue. So I know we're all feeling that and we all want that. One of the good things is I know the teachers are doing a really great job, but it is a hard thing to do. I've got grandkids in the district. Only 2 of them are really doing well on the long distance learning. It's because they're able to work independently and they do what they're supposed to. They're pretty bright. Not saying my other ones aren't bright, but they are a little younger, and they don't have that training yet. And so, so it's a hardship for me because I have to have them at home with my husband who isn't computer literate. So it is whatever it is that they do on the Chromebook, and you know, hopefully it's work. And I got the other ones who are at home, and there's like 3 of them, and they're all different ages. Some have special needs, all these things. So really, we really want them to be back in school because they just need that type of interaction and working with the teacher. And the teachers do an excellent job. I get updates all the time. But I just think that we really need to look when we do return back on the hybrid, which I love the hybrid idea, is that we make sure that we think of all the different things that could happen and the different scenarios so we plan it all out. What I don't want is like we started this year. Para's not coming, not knowing. We didn't have bus monitors even earmarked anywhere. And nutrition services is doing a great job. Those ladies got on it, and they are packing all that food. And it is a lot of food, but you got to remember when you're doing all this food and with the amount of people we have, you're going to end up having some types of injuries just because it's repetitive. It's heavy, those types of things. And now we're looking at possibly bulks of food items going to the community when they pick up. And I didn't think about this, but one of the servers said, Well, sometimes you have the nanas coming in to pick up the lunch for the kids. They're not going to be, it's bad enough you carry these jugs of milk, and if you have more than one, not jugs, but the bags of milk and the food, you have more than one kid, it does get heavy. But it's not our responsibility to go out and help them either. We can't let our employees go out there and do that. So if you're going to have boxes of food, that's even going to be heavier. How are we going to determine that? Those are all those things that, while you're thinking of the big scope of stuff, you have to think of those types of things too. Steve talked about the spray. I guess it's an excellent idea. You see it on the news, but are we making sure our employees are covered, that they have the right protective equipment? It's a spray and it's a chemical. So after a long time, spraying the chemical, even as a regular custodian, when we're spraying and we're doing that during the years, after a while you develop coughing and stuff. You're not really associating with that, because it's kind of like, I'm not going to go to the doctor because I say I have a cough and it's because of the chemicals. But now you're doing it on a bigger an area. Those particles are going to go everywhere, just like when you sneeze. You're throwing that stuff everywhere. So we just want to make sure that we're doing stuff that's going to make sure it protects our employees, protects our students, but also that we've planned ahead, because I, for one, don't like to not be prepared. And when parents come to me asking stuff, I'm like, I don't like to be the person to say, I don't know, and I don't have anywhere else to go for the information. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I do know that they are doing a great job at the sites. We're all working together. Parents do get a little bit antsy when, oh my God, I have no knowledge of hotspots, but my hotspot doesn't work. It says no data, blah, blah, blah. And I make stuff up, but it works. So when it doesn't show anything, it's kind of like your router. Turn it off, count to 30, turn it back on. Usually it works. So I'm like, hey, if it works for you, then we're golden. But I do try to help them, as much as I can, and what questions I don't know, I call Kyle or Tim, and they usually can give me the answer. Or it's the same one I gave the parents. They think it was a magic thing that you can get it. But if you don't have service because of dead spots, you're really going to be, hopefully that you have it with the hotspot. So, but more or less they work. Computers work. I do have to walk some parents through. But, it's okay. And I want them to succeed. So that's what we do. And that's it. But I just want to say, thank you for letting us come back, because I do enjoy this, and I do like to get out of the house. But I do want to make sure that we come back and get into the same routine, because we've been dormant for so long, and I think we kind of have to hopefully go back to the norm, or as much norm as we can go. So, anyways, thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm good. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and we have no one from Teamsters 542 this evening. Consent items. Items listed under the consent calendar motions are considered to be routine and are acted on by the governing board in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board's vote unless a member of the board requests specific items be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. It is understood that administration recommends approval of all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the governing board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. L1, minutes. L2, personnel report number 2020-21-05. L3, ratification PVHS Associated Student Body Statement, August 2020. L4, ratification of purchase order listing for August 2020. L5, ratification of consultant agreement with Josefina J. Riggin. L6, ratification of consultant agreement with Victoria Bravo. L7, ratification of consultant agreement with Leticia De Moral. L8, approval agreement IN 60226 for stipend services for CTE instructor. L9, approval of agreement IN 60227 for stipend services for CTE instructor. L10, approval of agreement IN 60229 for stipend services for CTE instructor. L11, ratification of proposal quote from Renaissance Learning. L12, approval renewal of IXL. L13, ratification of quotation number Q09-11-01, annual service of all portable fire extinguishers district-wide as required by California Title IX for FY 2020-2021. And L14, ratification of regular school business. Call for a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Action items. M1, acceptance of grant award, Share Our Strengths, No Kid Hungry grant. Call for a motion. Any questions or comments? I'd like to comment on this one and just say thank you to Jesse and our Nutrition Services Department. I think if I had figured it out right, he's gotten us over $100,000 in grants in probably the last 6 months, so we really appreciate that.
114, Jamie.
All right, great. All right, so all in favor? M2, public hearing, instructional materials sufficiency. Call for a motion?
Second.
Okay. Hearing, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to do it with my phone here. Hearing opened at 8:52. Oh, sorry, Texas time, 6:52.
Can I ask a question? On this? Okay.
Do we have any public comment?
Oh, okay. I was reading it and I was just wondering with the sufficiency on part of it is that are we going to get any new curriculum for their 7th and 8th grade? Those books are so old. When I worked at the middle school, which is 5 years ago, they were really hard to find when we needed to make sure we followed the Williams Act to purchase them. Probably not going to find anything now. So I was just wondering, are we ever going to get newer curriculum for the 7th and 8th grade English, social studies, and science? That was my comment, because I'm not sure if this is part of why you guys are checking the sufficiency of it. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to. Oh, it was the one that was awesome. That was my comment. I wasn't sure.
I can respond a little bit to that comment, but what I wanted to talk about was that usually the county comes and does a Williams visit, but because of COVID, they did surveys, and every school turned in their survey, which showed accurately that we have enough materials for all students, and that's the purpose of this, is to show that we have enough materials for all of our students. Our it's on state-adopted, district-adopted materials. So the materials we have, even though some of them might be old, are the materials we're using right now. That would be a great question to bring towards curriculum, what you're asking. That's something we should look at. Thank you.
All right, hearing closed at 6:54. All right. M3, approval of resolution number 2020-2021-08, instructional materials sufficiency. Call for a motion.
Sam stepped out for a minute. No, never mind, here he comes.
All right, all in, back? Janine, are we good? I can call for a motion, a vote?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? M4, approval of school site security project change order. I call for a motion to table this until our next meeting because we don't have sufficient information.
Second.
Oh, sorry, couldn't hear you. All right, all in favor, any questions or comments? All right, all in favor? Opposed? M5, approval of EOC use permit for the County of Riverside. Call for a motion?
So moved.
Call for a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? M6, approval of resolution number 202021-09, authorizing and approving the borrowing of funds for fiscal year 2020-2021 through the issuance and sale of a tax and revenue anticipation note, a TRAN. Call for a motion. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? M7, approval of resolution number 202121-07, appropriations due to reconciliation of the 2019-20 estimated ending fund balances and the 2020-2021 unaudited actual ending fund balances and to the 2020-2021 beginning fund balances. Call for a motion. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? M8, approval of agreement number C1008040 with Riverside County Office of Education Foundation for CARES Act funding supporting the All for One campaign. Call for a motion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? M9, approval of consultant agreement with T4 Learning Incorporated.
So
Call
moved.
for a motion.
So moved.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? M10, approval of agreement with Sonoma State University. Call for a motion. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? M11, approval of resolution number 202021-10, disposal of district property, Apache Turf Turbo Vac Turf Sweeper. Call for a motion. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? M12, approval of resolution number 202021-11, disposal of district property, Hydro Rupert BL 12T lift. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? M13, approval change update to 2020-2021 district calendar. Call for a motion. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion and information items. N1, information on the 2020-2021 adopted budget approval. We have anything on that?
We do.
Or we-
Yes, ma'am, we do. Good evening again, board, superintendent, and community. Just want to review kind of the highlights of the letter. We did receive the letter from the county on September 15th stating that our 2021 adopted budget was approved, reminding us that we are in an ADA hold harmless year, but as I mentioned in the fiscal update, our unduplicated count is not. So it's going to be very, very important for us to get the demographic data on our students so that we can accurately report. And again, the implication to not fully reporting could run us into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's important that we get that count. The county is also reminding us that we are continuing to decline in both enrollment and attendance, which is going to have implications for staffing sizes and things like that as we plan the budgets for the next year. Our budget does not include any cost of living adjustments for the 3-year period. That's going to be something that's important to watch to see how the economy materializes there. The letter also points out that we budget for deficit spending. When in the last year, when the actuals came out, we didn't deficit spend. We ended the year. I want to say it was about $500,000 more than what we took in more than what we spent. I think it was about $500,000. But when we budget, we have to budget a little bit less conservatively because you kind of never know what will hit. And so we do budget for deficit spending in those projections. Our reserve for economic uncertainties, we're good there. We have at least 3% all 3 years out for now. So as long as we have no shocks, we should be just fine for the 3-year period. They're reminding us that cash management is going to be an issue this year. As I also stated in the fiscal update, which is why we approved the TRAN. And so that's going to be the tool that we use to mitigate the cash shortfalls. And that's pretty much it in the budget letter. Do you have any questions or comments about that? Okay.
Nope. All right, so next we have information, an update on the balance of Measure E bond money.
Okay, that would be me again. I sent Janine a sheet that I'll go through with you guys. It's actually several sheets. There's about 8 pages to it, just to kind of explain what it is. So the top page shows the summary of all bond activity from March 1st, 2019 to 9/30/2020. This is about as accurate as it could be. The numbers will change every day if we pay a bill, those kinds of things. We could get interest, income in that will change the numbers. But the gist of it is that from Series A, the district deposited $9,845,000 back in early 2019. From then to now, the district's earned about $223,000 worth of interest on those funds. We also, in Series B, we sold $9 million. Of the $9 million, about 8.7, almost $8.8 million made its way into the district coffers. But of that $8.76 million, we set aside $6.5 for the COP debt, and we put that in an escrow. And then we also set aside $1.15 million, almost $1.16, to pay off our capital lease, which was the Climatech stuff. So our total expenditures from the bond that go toward debt are about $7.68 million. So in the grand scheme of things, we have taken in about $18.8 million. We've spent about $13.8, and I show us having about $4.98 million left in bond funds. This does not include the existing capacity. We could still potentially go out for a third series. We're at 19, and I think 24.5 was our cap. So what's that leave? 5.5 that we could still go out for. Not recommending that we do that, but I'm just letting you know that it's there. And then what I did on the subsequent pages, there's a variety of spreadsheets. The second page is our expenditures on phase 1 of the barn. It shows that we've spent $1.83 million. The bid amount for phase 1 was $1.9 million, and that's without any change orders. And we have about $100,000 left to pay on that contract. The second spreadsheet shows the phase 2 of the barn. The bid amount without change orders was $3.4 million. We have so far paid out about 3.1. We have almost $300,000 remaining on that contract, which is pretty much in line with where Steve is saying with the completion rate. I would say we're north of 90% complete and have made the bulk of those payments. The third page at the bottom, it says general barn items, and that's $827,000. That would be like soil testing, architect fees. We have DSA inspector. So it's just kind of some of the miscellaneous activities that are associated with completing the barn. The fourth page is miscellaneous bond expenditures. It's not a lot. It's $52,900. We purchased a couple scoreboards. We made some upgrades to the gym. We paid for our bond audit, and that's all accounted for on that page. The next page is the site security project, and I'm sorry, but I forgot to put the base bid amount, and I think it was about $465,000, and we've so far paid out $351 on that one. And then the very last page of the packet shows our revenues and interest. So that's all of the money that we've taken in from the bond. And it's worth noting on this that you're not going to see the 7 million that went to the debt. It never, and the reason being is because that 7 million never got deposited into the district before anything. It just went into an escrow account. But nevertheless, on the first page, I did account for that. So is there any questions regarding the bond? Okay.
Well, thank you for the information, Milton.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. N3, information, the SAB report on Palo Verde High CTE funding status.
So an update that we did receive notification that we were about 1.5 points shy of being able to be awarded a matching fund for the new CTE construction project. That's a 50-50 match. We're still in the waiting list so that when the state goes for another bond, we would still be eligible if the district so chose to continue that project. But I just wanted to give you an update that we got official notification that we did miss out on this round, but it also gives us an opportunity to really think about the CTE modernization project, because we would qualify for modernization, and to look deeply into that funding opportunity, because that's a 60-40 match. And so in a way, that pause for us allows us to really look at and analyze what's going to be in the best interest of the district as we're looking at that particular project for CTE classrooms.
Okay, any questions? All right. N4, information, the 2020 fall joint meeting. Ms. Curran?
So the fall joint meeting is coming up October 26th. Our representative has the opportunity to be part of that event. Registration for voting for representatives begins at 5:15, and the county committee elections is from 5:30 to 6. Also wanted all the trustees to be aware that the main event is open to all board members, and that starts at 6 p.m. This will be a virtual session, and if you would like to participate and register, please let Janine know.
Okay. N5, information, our flu shot clinic. Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, ma'am. Real quick, we wanted to kind of get some feedback from the board. Over the past few years, we've annually in October hosted a flu shot clinic, at Margaret White, where we invite all of our employees and their families to come get a flu shot if they so choose, to protect themselves through the winter months. We collaborate with Rite Aid for this. They bring a team in and conduct all the flu shots, and it's typically held in the Margaret White cafeteria. The popularity of the program has increased over the years. The earliest data we have was 2015-16, we had 18 participants. In 16-17, we had 42. In 17-18, we had 65. In 18-19, we had 70. And in 19-20, we had more than 70. But I understand what happened is they brought 70 doses and they had to go back, and they didn't keep track of what they counted when they came back. But nevertheless, we've had increased participation each year, and we're kind of at a fork in the road as to whether or not we should hold the flu shot clinic this year. We've thrown around the idea of doing it as a drive-through option. It sounds like Rite Aid could work with something like that. So we just kind of wanted to bring the idea to the board and get your kind of opinion or feedback on it, given the whole COVID thing. Your thoughts? Any thoughts?
I don't know, we've been doing it every year, or just?
We've done it by my count since 2015-16. So at least it's been 5 years for sure. This will be the 6th year that I know of.
It sounds like a pretty popular event.
Yeah, I know it's valued by a number of employees and families in the district. and at least one cabinet member. So far, so good. We're good to proceed. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. N6, discussion of staff appreciation and recognition.
So April Smith is going to give information regarding this item.
Mr. Touchy-feely over there. All right.
Good evening. I just wanted to update you guys. We're working really hard in personnel to work at ways to appreciate our amazing staff here in the district. And we have two kind of new ideas going on that I just want to bring to your attention. One of them we're just bringing back from the past. Working with Sandra Birmingham, she's really enlightened me on a newsletter that used to happen years ago. And so we're working on bringing that back. We're hoping to have something going out towards the end of the month. Doing some real good ideas with creativity with it. She's got a lot of interesting things on it. I still need to reach out to the sites and get some input from them. I need to work with the principals and how they want that to work. So I'm excited to be able to get that because I think it's going to be a great avenue for us to just get information out to the staff, to the entire district of what's going on, because I think that's missed sometimes. The second thing we're working on is kind of basically called an extra mile. I'm not sure if we're going to call it that, but it's something along the lines of the staff members from all parts of our district that are actually just going the extra mile. They're there working their tail off every day. I think Sunny mentioned something last time about attendance being super important. It won't be based basically on attendance, but those people that are really putting in their effort. The cool thing about it is we looked at some other districts that do some things like this, and the one thing that we saw in one is they put it on their website. And so we would be able to put something on our website that would allow everyone in our community to recognize somebody in our district going that extra mile. It's going to give the parents the ability to recognize people in our district that are doing great things. It'd give teachers the ability to recognize other staff members, CSC, everybody will be able to recognize everybody, but it's just open. But it's something that we'll be able to do it, and I'm not sure how often, if it would happen quarterly or monthly. We're working on that with the logistics of how many people it would be. But it would give you guys an opportunity to see some awesome things going on in our district more often, to give you guys some more information. Currently, the personnel department is working on that. We're meeting again Thursday morning to see where we're at with it, working on some different ideas for themes and things like that. So I just want to give you guys that information to let you know what we're doing in personnel. Oh, any questions?
Questions? All right, thank you, April. All right, do we have any other business? Okay. Any future agenda items?
No.
All right, call this meeting adjourned. Our next regular meeting is Tuesday, October 20th.